And then obviously huge congratulations on the Gotham
Thank
nominations.
you so much. Thank
Oh
you.
my
Oh my
God.
God.
And the Critics' Choice
Thank you so
honoree.
much. It was last week was one of the most psychotic, beautiful. I feel so overwhelmed. I'm gonna process all of this when I'm 50, is what I'm telling
Exactly.
myself. My brain cannot process any of this. It's really, I feel very lucky and fortunate. It's crazy.
It's wonderful.
Thank you
Um,
so much.
so the story obviously for you starts back in Idaho, but I mean,
Yeah.
overcompensating as a concept began with your 2018 show at the New York Comedy Festival. How did it
Yeah.
go from a single stand-up show to an 8 episode series? What was the trajectory?
The trajectory was I was telling these stories about overcompensating and me being in the closet. And at the same time, I was making sketches on the internet really consistently. And I was making these Kardashian ones. And I remember my agent, Matt Balick at WME, called me and he was like, okay, I know you keep saying like that you're like scared to write or like you're not a writer. He's like, but you're writing all your sketches and that last Kardashian thing felt episodic. Let's get pen to paper. And I was like, okay, I feel like I'm just like a guy from Idaho, sometimes. And I'm like, how do you approach this? And I'm like, can I call myself a comedian? Can I call myself a writer? And so I just went into where I write all my sketches at the time, which was a notes app. And I wrote this pregame scene. I don't know why. I was just like, I just want to write this pregame between me and my best girlfriend, and I'm in the closet. Let's see what happens. And honestly, I probably like three-quarters of that scene exists on the show. And it just felt so like I was addicted to it. And then I was like, I think it's the same story that I'm telling on stage. I think it's partially my story, but then pulling from the tapestry of college, this feels right. And so I wrote that pilot, Lucky, in 2018, 2019, and then we took it
Yeah,
out
yeah,
um, during all kinds of random things that have, very devastating things that have happened, like pandemic. It just kind of was, but throughout that whole thing, I think I've had this time to develop and change it and find this ensemble within it. And I think anything I was scared to put in over the years, I we put it in. I'm ready to go. It's in the show.
well,
So
yeah,
yeah,
exactly. And you, I
yeah.
mean, a lot of people during the height of the pandemic kind of flourished, and you were one of them. You were able to take the worst possible situation and turn it into an enormous amount of creativity.
Mhm.
Where did that really come from for you?
I think I had just moved to LA. Literally, it was like I moved in and the lockdown happened. It was so strange. And I was just kind of like in this empty apartment in West Hollywood with all my costumes and all my wigs. And I was like, I need to fill my days. How many videos a week can I make? And if in any way this gives people like a 3 minute break from the nightmare we're all living in and the terrifying situation, well, great, because it'll also make me feel less, I think, alone and scared and kind of just like, what do I do? Um, and I just felt this kind of like, I don't know, communal love thing that was happening. This communal love thing. That's where my words are now. Post junket, who knows what is coming out of my mouth? But I am just like, it, I think I felt so creative because there was so much feedback in a way that was just really exciting to me. And I was like, all right, if I'm getting this feedback, I think it's the same thing with the Benny and Carmen friendship and the relationship I have with women. It's like, oh, okay, the more I show this, like you are responding. Like maybe I can be myself and kind of go there. And so thus Jenny, the TMI hairstylist and Deliverance Richards. And I was just like, all right, if we're gonna go for it, let's fucking go for it. I'll show you everything. Um, yeah, and it really, I think it just it helped me through that time and a very weird time in all of our lives.
Yeah,
But yeah, I'm fortunate that people allowed me to, hopefully make them laugh and give them like a little break from a scary reality.
for sure. Absolutely. And I definitely want to talk about what you just touched on with relationships with women in our lives, how we have
Mhm.
them. But I want to crack into overcompensating first and just its story as a coming out story. Because I think something that straight people uh don't realize is that coming out is not a single event. We're kind of always coming out to somebody in pretty much one form or another, like our entire lives. So did
Yeah,
writing and shooting Overcompensating feel like coming out again?
yeah, totally. And I think it was almost this thing where I had this really kind of like emotional feeling at the end of shooting it. And I was like in the car on the way home from like the last takes that we had done, which were actually so fun. They were like in the secret society and it was kind of this like fratty. I like poured beer in my head. And so I'm like soaked with that and I'm like delirious. And I think in that time I finally was like, oh, I like forgave myself for not coming out sooner. And that was always the hardest thing. I was always so hard on myself for that. I never got to come out to my godmother. I went abroad in London and wasn't out. It's like, hello, like, come on, Benny, get out there, girl. Um, I think I forgave myself because it's like
Yeah,
we all have so many reasons, and I think that's one of the most things. It's I whenever people are like, why won't he just come out? I think is so unfair. I really do. I think it's sick because I'm like, oh sorry, AirPods. They literally like just don't hold charge, which I think. So here we are,
same.
raw, raw.
Raw. Next
But
question.
yeah, but and done. But yeah, I feel like I finally forgave myself and but yeah, I just think everyone has reasons. And I think that's inspiration for all of this ensemble is like, why is anyone doing this? I think we put it on queer people that they have like a big secret, but I'm like, so does the person to my left who's not
Mhm.
queer. Like, I think they're trying to hide something from me, whether that be
Exactly.
that they're actually, 5'9" and they keep telling me they're 5'11 because someone made fun of them one time for their height. It's like as simple as that, or as
Yeah.
big as feel this sad thing about themselves that just inherently they can't shake because one person said something awful to them. Like, I just think there is something communal about it too that hopefully
Abs-
people in the show.
absolutely. In this retelling, because it is your story, but it is also, narrative fiction too. What parts of your life did you want to remain as close to the truth as possible? And what did you want to allow yourself to kind of rewrite the stars with?
I think I was inspired by relationships and some of the feelings and like scenarios, but I love characters and of course, and I think that's what the beginning of my career was, is finding characters and developing characters. So I think I was inspired by these moments of coming out, but I think the characters that are there and who they are, and whether that be Miles or Carmen or Grace, those I think are just inspired by me loving writing characters and trying to, I think, have different stories on screen and maybe surprise people with who they feel like they relate to the most. Maybe it's not the person that looks like them
Yeah.
or the person that they thought that they didn't have that much in common with. But yeah, I think you start with your life and some of these things, and it's like the right what the lesson. But I think in the end, it's just so much more fun to then, I think, take the skeleton of that and then let's pull from this tapestry of college, which we can go to town. Like, I could write forever because it's so rich and embarrassing and funny and tragic and, let's go. But specifics for gay things, it was going to start with George of the Jungle. Like, there was no, that was my moment. That was my Big Bang moment. That was going to be the one.
I love that. I love that so much. That when that came on, it was, you see the prompt, here's my gay awakening all the time. And
Mhm.
it's like
Yeah.
there have to be so many that was it right there.
That was it. Yeah. And I wish we could show it. Just, sorry, Disney. Disney,
Yeah.
we couldn't send them that pilot. We
Yeah.
shut down. But yeah, hopefully it's heavily implied.
Yes, very much. Let's talk about fag hags because we can
Mhm.
say that.
Of course.
And I love that you used that phrase in the show because I mean, I grew up with that and used that
Yeah.
as lovingly and endearingly as possible. What have
Yeah.
your close female friendships meant to you in your life to get you here?
Oh my God. Everything. I think they saved my life. I think they introduced me to my boyfriend. I think they reintroduced me to myself. I think that that is the core of the whole show is like finding that person. And I think for so many queer people and so many gay boys, it's just like this girl in class who wanted nothing from them but for them to be themselves. And in return, we can offer them empowerment and advice. And I think we also don't want anything in return. And that is what I love about that relationship. And I feel like I remember seeing it on screen, I think, for the first time with my best friend's wedding between Julia
Hmm.
Roberts and Robert Everett, and they end up together. Like that to me, I'm like, oh, like that. I, as a kid, I was just like, I responded to him singing, say a little prayer at the table. I'm like, well, me. And that last scene, I'm like, how beautiful is that? That in like a, I don't know, that movie is kind of blowing my mind lately, just thinking of that being the ending of it with like Julia Roberts, like that's
Yeah.
who it's up with. Like that's fucking crazy. Like I think there is something really, yeah, I think clearly this has existed for a long, long time. I think of these women that have, I think, loved us well before we've had any love for ourselves or for our gay identities.
Absolutely. And in the show, Carmen is that for you, and then
Yeah.
Mary Beth as your real life friend too. So
That is my fag hag for, are you kidding? Fag hag supreme. Don't even start. Yeah.
I love her. She is hilarious.
Perfect. Oh my God. Yeah.
Um, I think I might have noticed something. Let me know if I'm right or I'm crazy.
You're probably
But whenever we see the logo for Flesh and Cold, like the banners are written out, it's
finally someone
oh,
has. I have been waiting a week. No one
okay.
has said a damn thing.
That F ampersand and G, I'm like, all I see is fat.
And you know what? Thank God you do, because it's there on purpose. And yeah, that was a fun gift from me and Scott King, my wonderful showrunner, also gay. And when we were coming up with the name, I was just like, oh, it's Flesh and Gold. And it's gonna say FAG, everything. It's like they're so worried about things being gay, but they can't even, it's right under their noses and they can't see it. Like that to me was just like, we have to.
That is the gay sensibility too, where we are really on a different like level.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It's a radar, and it's for us.
It's a different show for my boys. Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah, you can watch it through various eyes, but for the queer babies, there's a different show there if you want it to be there. It is. I love that.
Yes.
Oh my God, thank you. Wow, I'm gonna tell
Oh,
something right after this.
okay, excellent. Yeah, I just every time because it pops up in a way that's just like in your face. I'm like, I know what this is. I know
Oh, it's
what you are.
exactly. Rowing Blazers made the jackets, and Jack
Yeah,
Carlson, designer, he was like,
yeah.
we sent him the emblem, which Hannah Puli did costumes, did, and we were just howling. He was like, "Am I?" He's like, "I don't mean to be fucked up, but does this say what I think it says?" And I'm like, "It does, sweetie. Thank you so much. Jackets look great." Yeah, and I have one now. It's in my closet. I love it.
I love it.
We'll get you
It's
one.
oh, it's incredible. Yeah, it's just okay, good. It meant everything.
Yeah.
I want to talk about the incredible cast that you have and working with your casting directors, and how closely you worked with them to bring on, everybody from Adam DeMarco to the cameos, which are fucking insane. I Bowen and Matt's cameo absolutely gagged me. But yeah, just everybody, Kyle, Connie.
It's I I don't know what it is, but I think I get something in my head and it's I swear it doesn't lean stubborn. It's just like that it feels so right. And I think I really tried to trust that with this. And I think it's almost coming up on the internet. Like I just had to go so quick that I had to just trust my instincts. And I feel like this was kind of obviously longer, but it would be somewhere where I was just like, I have this character, my sister, it has to be Mary Beth. Like, I just know that even if we're fighting, you'll feel history. And I met Wally in a Zoom for the writer's room, and I was like, that's exactly how Carmen should feel the second she comes on screen. I'm rooting for her. She's brilliant. She's funny. It's her. Um, and Jessica Kelly was casted this, and I adore her because I can't even imagine how many tapes she watched, but I felt she was so passionate about the project, and I feel so lucky because I was too. I mean, I've sat with this for 5 years. It's partially my
Yeah.
story, and I felt so emotionally connected to these, you're and also I'm coming to it from an acting point of view of like I've done these tapes. I know when, it's like I know how hard this is and how I think vulnerable you feel, and also like you don't get feedback, or you're brought in like 4 times and you're like, do you hate me or do you love me? I really don't know. And so we tried to be thoughtful as much as we could. And but we wouldn't stop, I think, until it felt so right. And I think when in a even in on Zoom, whether it be like Rish, we did a scene where we're at my door and it was just like, well, it's him, and he felt that
Yeah.
afterwards. He's like, I know I got it. And I'm like, babe, you don't know how these things work. There are like 50 more channels. You have to, I'm like, that's it crazy. You told people you got this. But he was right, because it was just like, boom, it's him. Um, as far as the cameos, I mean, it was like my heroes and the people I love so much and friends. And I felt so lucky that I think they knew what we were trying to do with the show, and the Connie and Kyle. And that to me just unlocked so much. I think creatively, they were my dream casting.
Yeah.
And when it finally worked, I was just like, thank fuck, because it had to be them. I like my brain could not see anyone else. And same with Matt and Bowen. A24 and Amazon, and Scott said to me, like, who do you see in that scene? And I'm just like, I think it has to be shocking. I think when Bowen walks in, you should feel as shocked as Benny that, Benny's shocked because he has a husband. Audience is shocked because that's fucking Bowen Yang. Like, what is
Hmm.
going on? And Matt Rogers, like, to me, that scene, it felt so, I think, really beautiful in a way, because also it's like, they're my idols and they championed me when I was first starting, and I felt kind of like, oh, I'm just doing stand up, or I was starting stand up and I was just making videos. I'm like, are people gonna, judge me as like an internet guy? Because I think at times that has like a bad connotation to it, and unfair. I think it's unfair and strange, um but never them. And I felt like it would just felt very like this really, I think, beautiful like queer moment that they came on a random day in their schedules to like come support this show and me. And I'm so grateful. And Megan Fox, I can't even talk about her. She's everything. The fact
It,
that she did that on Zoom from her house. Those are like first takes. Like that's an icon. Like, are you kidding?
it's
I'm
so
spoiled.
fucking hilarious.
Yeah, it's fucked up.
It's
I can't
it,
believe that we
it's
got her.
amazing. It's
Yeah.
amazing. And obviously, Charlie XCX. And I kind of love that your How I Met Charlie story has such it's almost like a classic Hollywood element to it, because
Have that.
it's just the gumption of of getting the gig with
Mhm.
her and just going up and making it happen.
I can't stress enough, this isn't necessarily my personality at all. Like, I am very much like, maybe come to me, or else especially if I've done an impression of someone, I'm like, they can come to me. I don't know. Maybe they don't want to see me. Maybe they're just nice on the internet, but the impressions are like, get that homo away from me. Um, she, I feel so fortunate that I had 2 margaritas that night, and I feel so lucky that I um got to work with her, because I just saw her last night at Barclays, and I was like crying during track 10 when she's under the rain. I just think she is so beyond brilliant and so funny in this. She did this in between sweat tour shows. She literally went from like the Toronto sweat tour. Next day, she shot all her scenes, then onto her next show. And
Yeah.
I'm like, this is like, she is a force. And I think there is such an athleticism to her pop star celebrity, like the way that she works. She is so, um, she's unbelievable. And I feel so lucky that the world is finally catching up to her, and that we got her to do the music before the world caught up to her.
Yes.
That's really
It's
cool. Love
yeah.
that.
We were already there and now everybody else is
I'm
here.
like, oh, you girls love Party for You? See you episode 4. Welcome
I,
to the party. Are you fucking kidding?
come
Like,
on.
let's go.
Oh my
Yeah.
God. Yeah, her and Mary Beth together are absolutely hilarious too.
My dream come true. Are you
It's
kidding?
they're
My
iconic.
hags together. Are you kidding?
Like, oh my God, a meeting of the fag hags. It's perfect.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Um, in again looking at coming out stories, when it involves parents and family, often like they're the antagonist or an obstacle that you have to overcome. But in here, they're very liberal, they're open, there's positive reinforcement, almost to like a nauseating parent degree, which is funny. But what
Yeah.
did you want to say about having all of those things and still having a hard time with personal reconciliation with sexuality?
I think it's my story in so many ways. And I think I wanted to show, I think there's so much more complication that we're going to get to within that experience. It took me a long time and the relationship you have with your dad as opposed to your mom within that. And I think, one parent being way more ready for it than another. And I think also, in this story, I didn't seek to vilify anyone in the experience. I think at first when I was coming out, I was like, what is going on? Like some people didn't respond in the way I wanted them to.
Mm-hmm.
But now I have more empathy for it. I think there's fear. I think there's a fear of getting it wrong. I think there's fear of safety, especially in the world we live in. And I think what I wanted to say is, yeah, I think there's so much more I want to say. So I don't know if I've totally said it yet in the show, but I think I wanted to, I think maybe give grace to some people and maybe show that even if there is maybe a situation like this, you still don't want to come out. No matter what your house, feels like, I think you still go to school and you're
Yeah.
still in those rooms and in those locker rooms and you hear things and it didn't matter that my mom was buying me dolls. I would go to school and get mocked. There's no, at a certain point, they can only do so much. So I think that's, I think, what I think we've started to say is like, I think you know this thing and you don't. And
Yeah.
I think there's a real I think when I see it on screen and when I've seen it on screen, it just feels really quick. Or the conversation with the mom, she says everything right. And I think that feels so unfair to moms who have experienced this and are actually saying like kind of like maybe some fucked up things, but not out of hate or confusion. It's like they just don't know and they're scared. And I
Yeah.
think that feels so the world we live in of being scared to get it wrong. So then you say nothing, or then you never educate yourself. So then you say the worst thing possible. And I think I want to find that in the show too, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't think there will ever not be a need for coming out stories. It's
Yeah, I agree.
our stories are always they're always going to be met with a certain amount of challenge, and like certainly right now.
Yeah.
So I'm grateful that they even exist. So,
Yeah.
and especially this.
Thank you.
It's fucking funny.
Thank you so much.
I
I
love
mean,
that. Um I want to end asking, you have such a wealth of characters that you've created. And this season ends on a bit of a cliffhanger, as I think you
yeah.
could say.
Oh.
But do you think that like Deliverance Richards would ever be able to find her way into Yates in some form?
I could never say no because Haley was inspired by my character Haley that I used to do of the girl that went abroad. And so I think this is almost like how lucky am I that like the ending of that character, the development of her was over like 7 years, and that
Yeah.
now she's on screen played by Holmes. Like I am so oh my God, I would die. Like, oh, can you imagine I get Reese Witherspoon as
That's what
Deliverance?
I'm saying. Oh
I
my
will
God.
literally die. Yeah, I think I would never write that off. Deliverance she can pop up at some point in somewhere. I'm sure that she'll return. I miss her dearly. I can't stress that enough.
I mean, there's like a whole like side sidebar episode you could have between her and Holmes that is like some
It's yeah.
challenge of
I know
icons.
we talked about her being an army brat. Maybe that's Deliverance. I think there's so it's hard to not, yeah. I could never write her off. I think my
Love
boyfriend
it.
would be mad if I said no
I
to
think I think so. I think
girl.
lots of people would.
Yeah. Love.
Um, Benny, thank you so much for
Thank
chatting
you.
with me, especially after your busy night and week and just time right now.
It's lovely. Are you
I
kidding? I
love
got
it.
them this morning. I'm happy to do it.
And yeah, I love it. I
Let's
love it.
go. Thank you.
Yes. And I wish the very best with the show. And I think I'll see you at the Critics' Choice event in June.
Oh, I can't wait.
I love
So,
it.
so nice to meet you.
It was really great to meet you and talk with you.
Have a good one.
You
Bye.
too. Bye.